And we are live with our 32nd installment of Nansen Office Hours. Every time I click go live, I'm never actually sure if it started. So there's always a little awkward pause between when we click go live and when we start. But anyways, that aside, how you doing this week, Alex?
Pretty good. We tried doing one stream when you were on holiday, and that same thing happened, except we were going on for like a minute just talking. We didn't know we were actually live. So that's,
I guess we could snip it out of the final product, but this is the pretty raw show.
Yeah.
So yeah, what you been looking at this week?
What have I been looking at this week? Well, thankfully, our analysts have been looking at a lot of stuff. I've mostly been too busy trying to build out the Nansen organization, sadly. So don't have that much time to ape into stuff as I used to. But we've got a couple of cool things we could look at. NFT dashboards, of course, both some of the stuff that you can look at right now, but also some cool things that are coming, and also some new things that maybe people aren't aware of that you can now get insights on in Nansen. And then we have a couple of projects as well, where you have stable coins and tokens that people might be interested in. So it's a bit of everything today, a bit of farming, a bit of projects, a bit of NFTs, and maybe we could look at some spicy wallets as well. What do you think?
Let's not waste any time here. In the chat, we've got we've got a couple messages here. One is, "Yo guys, let's leak stuff."
We could maybe leak some like dev, like what's in Nansen Dev,
Let's do that. Let's open or let's show behind the curtains right away.
You want to start with Nansen Dev, like go straight to the hardcore? Okay, let's do it. So, we want to treat the people who tune into these office hour sessions. So let me see if I can remember how I share my screen. There we go. Share screen, entire screen. No, window. Yes, there we go. Boom. All right. This is Nansen Dev. Okay. Can you see my screen, by the way?
Yeah.
And so NFT hot contracts fork something. So, it doesn't look very nice. This stuff is familiar. People know and love NFT Paradise, right? The 24-hour NFT market overview, where you can see different NFT collections having the highest volume, traded volume in the last 24 hours. But we also have a bunch of other metrics, like the sort of implied market cap, the max price of any token in that collection traded in the last 24 hours, the average price, the floor price, number of transactions, and also, crucially, the contract date, or when it was actually launched on the blockchain. So people know about this part. You can actually go to pronansen.ai/NFT Paradise, or you can also find it up here, NFT Paradise, and you see this thing. So this is not new. But if you scroll down, boom, what is this? Profit leaderboard. The addresses that have made the most money trading NFTs. And are you surprised? Who do you see top of the list?
Lo and behold. I wonder, so I think we should actually click in on that and see how much of that is from Bored Ape Yacht Club. Can we do that?
Yeah, I mean, we're in dev now, so I have no idea what's going to happen if I click on stuff. But looks like this actually shows their wallet. Gods Unchained, that's a lot of Gods Unchained cards. And here is the breakdown, right? Realized gains. So where do most of these gains come from? Bored Apes, 2,044 ETH. And probably some losses as well, right? You have to go back, I guess. And I think the important thing is that, I'm confusing myself here. Realized gains. So when I go to the first page and then sort on this again. The thing is also, you could have realized gains here and then invested them in other collections, right? Which is why probably this aggregate number is 1,500, but the gains on apes is 2,000. So you could have taken 500 ETH and like put it into other NFT collections, and now they're there, right? So this is like looking at the total profit in aggregate, and it's also in dev, so it's not been totally QA'd yet, but I'm pretty sure it's correct. It is quite impressive though to see how much higher it is than like even just number 2 on this list.
Definitely. So I feel like we should give some ideas of how this can be used. So at Nansen, we always want to like help people find interesting wallets. So we do that a lot in the DeFi segment with the smart money. This is kind of like the beginning of a smart money on the NFT side. I think initially when we were thinking through like how can we find interesting wallets on the NFT side, it's kind of hard to like distinguish, is this person a good curator? Do they have good taste in projects? Do they have good taste in art? But actually how the NFT world has evolved right now, and especially with all these collection drops, it is almost a new asset class. Well, it is a new asset class, but that people are trading very actively. They're flipping all these different projects, and it's becoming this like interesting little market. And so here you can identify some of the top traders of NFTs, the top people who are flipping them, and seeing if they actually make profit or if they're just sinking their money into these illiquid projects and never making any money on them.
So effectively, every address that you find in a leaderboard type ranking like this is a masterclass, right? You can drill down into one of these and understand like what is their strategy based on their activity on chain, like what kind of projects do they tend to invest in, how long do they hold on to them, when do they sell? Like you can deduce all that stuff from just studying these different addresses. So it's pretty cool that you have these. I wouldn't call them like thought leaders, more like market leaders or investment leaders, because this is not just the talk, this is like the walk. These guys actually made money on NFTs. So yeah, it is pretty cool. And you're right, the way to think about this is trying to narrow it down to the wallets that you want to focus on, maybe set up smart alerts for, and generally have some understanding of what they do in the crypto markets.
So I think we can double click on some of these, see what they've been up to. Paul identified some of these that are interesting to look into. And then after that, we can maybe come up with some ideas again on how people can how people can track individual wallets with smart alerts or something like that to get more value out of this.
It's pretty funny that we're like doing this in dev, because I don't know if you noticed, but there's also this. Ooh.
Soon.
Maybe the product team is like freaking out. But it's good to have a bit of alpha leaks on the stream. Okay, but yeah, in any case, we click through now on @blank.eth, right? And what have they done? They've had a pretty insane, some pretty insane returns on autoglyphs. Are you familiar with that project?
I sure am. I'm in Prince DAO, like fingerprints DAO.
Okay.
Which is a DAO that owns a bunch of autoglyphs.
Nice. And so you're a DAO member. You are like a token holder in that DAO, and they own a bunch of autoglyphs.
Yeah, there's a lot of these DAOs that have emerged to focus on specific collections. So for example, like Squiggle DAO started off buying chromie squiggles from art blocks. Now they've expanded their collection a little bit to Framergens. Wait. Is it? I'm trying to remember which ones, but like algo bots. They've got like a few in their collection. Then there's other DAOs like Fingerprints DAO, which owns autoglyphs, and then some other generative art like Def Beef and some others. And then Beats DAO is one that owns Euler Beats. And then now they're expanding into other art as well, or art and like generative projects.
That's pretty cool. I wanted to see if we could find Autoglyph, the breakdown of it, because I was curious to see. So was Larva Labs the creator of Autoglyphs? Sorry.
Yeah.
So this is the fingerprints down here, the third wallet, 26 Autoglyphs.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. So you can just see it on chain, the stuff you just told us now. That's cool. You can see it right away. The third biggest holder of Autoglyphs.
Yeah, and then snowfro.eth is the creator of art blocks. It's
That's
interesting.
cool.
You do see a lot of overlap on these names. So, for example, I just saw AT Blank there, and that is someone who was on that leaderboard that we previously saw.
Yeah, that's the wallet we just looked at. Actually, that's how we ended up at the Autoglyphs. They made tons of money on Autoglyphs. They basically seem to have. I think that's a little. Yeah, they purchased 19, sold 47% of them. If I'm reading this right. So they spent 5.6 Ether, and they have 476 Ether in gains. That's like rough calculation, 13,000% return. Pretty good. You can see it.
And it's pretty cool. They still own a lot of their autoglyphs, right? Or they still own 7.
Yeah, they're like one of the top holders still, 7, and so that places them at something like 15th or something, because it's only 512 autoglyphs. Is that correct?
I can't remember the exact amount.
That's at least what we're being told here. So
there you go. Yeah.
Nice. Oh, this is actually an older project than I thought.
Yeah, this was one of the first notable generative art projects on the blockchain.
Nice.
Like that's kind of the cultural significance of this one. And it was the second Larva Labs project after CryptoPunks.
There's also this Subducks thing. Do you want to look at that? It's maybe a few days ago now, but I'm curious.
This is a context switch, because this was so we were looking at like leaderboards, but Subducks is another one of these avatar collections, and each Subduck has various attributes. We can pull up on OpenSea, and so if you scroll down to properties on the bottom left there, you can see the different properties that they have. So toxic, or whatever, background, clothes, eyes, hat, mouth, skin. There's actually more. Like if you click through on one of those, sure, yeah, and then if you scroll down on the bottom left,
here
you can see, so that okay, I guess there's only 6, but this is where you can like click through and see the rarer attributes. So if you click through on black background there, and then you scroll down,
these are the rarest ones. Ooh, galactic duck.
Yeah, and then you'd have to click out of hippie on your filters.
Right. Makes sense. Wow. What the hell? Only 1 Ether?
Well, that's just the offer.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, maybe they're hoping someone misclicks or something.
Yeah, last 22 Ether. Okay. That's pretty cool. And so this is an example of a project that popped up in NFT Paradise. Lots of people aped in, and you can see the first few days of trading here. So you see the traded volume, you see how the average price has moved. It actually pumped pretty hard and then seems to have dropped a bit, but you can break it out on like min price, max price, and average here. And it seems like the floor price has been going up, right, since the beginning. Do you remember what these were minted for?
I don't actually.
Yeah,
I want to say like 0.06 or something.
Yeah, and then a few people went big and like bought ducks for like 50 Ether, probably on like, this was probably the actual like first full trading day, and the second one, and then someone bought one for 35. We can probably see those down here if we scroll down. 50,
That was the bubblegum one. So just
okay.
some other side context on this project. There were
Sorry,
some.
I was just going to say we can actually click through on it from that, which is kind of nice. You can click through here, and then it takes you to the item profiler, and then you can even click through to OpenSea and see that specific asset. This one.
Yeah. So this one was known because FaZe Banks traded a CryptoPunk for it. FaZe Banks is some influencer. Traded a CryptoPunk for it, and then the CryptoPunk, or sorry, then he sold it for 50 ETH to this Drew person.
You can
but
see
there's
it
a
here.
lot of, yeah.
Check it out. FaZeBanks.eth 3 days ago to uncommon NFT collector. Nice.
So here's an actual alpha leak. I almost don't even want to say it because I feel like there's still some cool ones that are undiscovered. So you see how in our interface here, it shows the flaming heart.
Yep.
So ENS addresses normally only let you have 3 characters in them. So this is like an anomaly, the fact that it pops up as a flaming heart. But the way this is constructed is, so emojis, like later generations of emojis, can be constructed by combining several emojis together.
Ooh, that's cool.
And so this is actually like 3 emojis combined. This is like a heart and like the fire emoji with a space in between them. Wow. Or like this like kind of like dead character, or I don't even remember what it's called, like a spacer character. And so because it's 3 characters combined, you can do this. But it just shows up as one when it renders.
This is very cool. I mean, that's very cool.
Yeah. So this guy also has like the cloud, the wizard. I've seen ones where it's like clowns juggling or like just people juggling. So this is definitely a sophisticated person.
This is very cool.
Credit to, I think, Alex Gaussman on Twitter for leaking that a little while back.
Nice. That's really cool. I like that a lot. What an Easter egg.
Yeah.
There are a few other...
I may or may not have a couple myself of the single character.
Oh, wow. Are you Flaming Heart?
I'm not Flaming Heart. I wish. Flaming Heart is a really cool one.
There are a few other spicy wallets we could look at. There's this wallet, which I think is the biggest spender on hash masks. Let's see. It's probably sorted by realized gains. Maybe we want to do total. Oh, here we go. Total spend. 1,175 Ether spent on 35 hash masks.
So was that because they bought the final ones? Like, how is that even possible?
I don't know. I mean, could they have bought secondary? Like, I don't know. That's pretty insane.
So which wallet is this? Can we see?
Yeah, this is Danny on OpenSea.
Is that? Oh, that's the guy who owns the most expensive or one of the rarest CryptoPunks. He's got the only, I think, 7 attribute CryptoPunk, and he's pretty well known. There was actually a story written about him, like an article written about him. That's
really cool.
NFT OG for sure.
So Danny on OpenSea or Seed Phrase on Foundation? Yeah,
I think he's also Seed Phrase on Twitter. But he's got this. So if you go to larvalabs.com/CryptoPunks/attributes. No E.
No E, yeah. larvalabs.com/CryptoPunks, you said?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't spell. Let's see.
And then /attributes.
You just know the URL by heart. That's hilarious.
And then you scroll down to the bottom, and you see 7 attributes.
Yeah.
There's only 1, so it's like the rarest, and that's Danny. You might have seen this avatar on Twitter.
I think I have actually. CryptoPunk 8348. Can we actually see that here? I'm curious. Sorry, now I'm in the wrong place. Wallet profiler, CryptoPunks. If we go to NFTs.
No, but this is Flaming Heart.
Oh, sorry. went to the wrong one. Here, this one. Curious if we can see their trades on. Oh, we just have the recent trades, all transactions. Oh wow, okay, it's like more than 2,000 because we cap it at 2,000. So they have a lot of transactions, but I guess they bought the CryptoPunk a long time ago. Yeah,
like ages ago, I think.
yeah. Feels like we should just give people like all the rows on this specific, because it's, why not? You know, you would have the full history, which would be quite nice. Yeah, but so they put tons of money into Hashmask. Looks like they're also a pretty big Axie holder, and they have some Axie names, ENS names, like Axie Wars, Axie Championship, but they have sent them to another wallet. That's why they're indicated with this asterisk at the end. So they used to own those ENS names, but not anymore. Legendary NFT collector. Indeed he is. Yeah.
I feel like an interesting feature would be if there was an ENS address that used to be in a wallet. Like if you click on the that little pill in that list, it'll link you to the current owner of it.
Yeah, that'd be. Yeah, I agree. Actually, a lot of these labels should be clickable. Like they should link to different dashboards, right?
Yeah.
They actually used to own an ENS name, which is an address. That's pretty funny. It's actually the same address as their own. If you look up here, federalgov.eth. So this is like another address that was highlighted because this is quote unquote the most eclectic buyer of NFTs. And so let me just read what our analyst wrote here. Despite his breadth of investments, Snotrocket has managed to make 145 ETH, actually 146 ETH now, total profit, and only sold 184 out of their 613 NFTs. So this is actually new. I don't know if people know that we have this now, but if you go to NFTs, you can see up here the revenue, how much they've invested or spent, if you will, if you think of it as consumption, the total profit and the realized gains. So realized gains basically means if you buy an NFT for 1 Ether and you sell it for 2, you have 1 Ether realized gains. But your total profit is just like how much you have put in and how much you have cashed out. So your profit could be negative, but your gains could be positive, if that makes sense. If you've kind of like reinvested into other NFTs, then you could have negative total profits.
You're missing a key part of that analysis, which is that degree of total profit is unusual for an NFT collection with such high diversification.
That is true.
Which is interesting because I feel like, we haven't figured out like what is the winning strategy for NFTs right now. Like, Does it make sense to cast as wide a net as possible? Like if you view buying into one of these collections as buying a lottery ticket or buying like a pack of Pokemon cards and you're hoping for a Charizard or something like that, what is the proper strategy? Should you buy as much as possible, or should you just have concentrated bets?
I think this chart gives an indication of what this guy is doing. At least he seems to be pretty much only buying the lowest priced NFTs, and then he's selling them, some of them, at a really high price. Right? Like all the blue ones are, his or their sales. And the green ones are buys, right? So you just see like one green here, which is 4 ETH. But almost all the sells are higher. So I guess they're just scouting for lots of different collections at the lowest price, maybe just jumping in very early and then picking out the rare ones that they think can sell for a lot, and then they cash out on those, the big ones.
But I will say it's not necessarily the lowest price, because the scale on this graph is a little wonky. There could be anything like sub 1, where you're sniping, like 0.25
Yeah.
there. That's
They're
like
generally
sniping.
that's true. They're generally quite low though, right? If I'm
Yeah,
just
that's
like
fair.
hovering this stuff, it's like close to zero. I mean, it's ETH, right? So it is still something. But this guy here is 3, right? There's one popping up here which is 0.8, right? And you can actually see that sticking out a bit. So it seems to be mostly below 1 ether at least.
Yeah.
And this is kind of interesting. I was just going to say that like many people kind of do the opposite, right? Like you would buy a ton, minting them, and then you would like cash out the worst ones, but at like a slightly higher multiple. And this person seems to be doing almost the opposite. They're just like buying lots of them, and then they're able to like get the highest price possible for some of the good ones, and they cash out on those.
In the chat, we got a question. Any plans to add unrealized gains?
Yeah, the tricky thing is like, how do you price an NFT that you have in your wallet? You could use the last
floor price.
Really?
I think so.
Is that fair though? Like that seems not that. I mean, if you buy if you buy a really rare NFT and you just put the floor price on it, do you think that's fair? I mean, that to me that doesn't sound like how you would want to intuitively calculate. That's like a lower bound of your probably a lower bound of your unrealized gains.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. It is the lower bound of your unrealized gains, but you can potentially make a lot more than that. And it's almost nice to have this expectation that that's the lowest amount you could get. I think the question is like, what is the NFT net worth of a wallet like this? And there's currently like what they have in their wallet, but like, how do you, or like you have their liquid tokens or their FTs, but for the NFT, how do you calculate the net worth? And I think the minimum is the floor price times however many you have of that collection. Like if you've got subducks, and subducks are trading at, I don't know what it is now, like 0.2, 0.3, and you got 10 of them. There you go. You got 2 or 3 ETH value there. I
think, whatever way you look at it, it's going to be like an estimate. It's going to be something where you can say an estimated, unrealized gains, and then you have some kind of method behind it. This stuff that we have here, like realized gains, that's like objective. You just look at stuff you buy and then stuff you sell afterwards. So I think we should try to do it, but we should probably figure out how to communicate it so it's not confusing to people.
Another option is highest bid on a floor piece, something like that. Like that would be even lower, but like whatever. Anyways, we can brainstorm that later. But to answer, you
also do like last price, right? Which is what you would do with real estate, for example. You would just take the last price.
But last price could be for a non-floor one. Like
I mean like last price of the exact NFT that you own. That's what I mean.
But quite frequently, it's never been priced. Like if you just bought it straight from,
if you just minted it
from
that's right. Yeah, so it's a non-trivial problem, but something cool to think about, and something that I'm quite sure people in the Nansen team will want to spend some time on and figure out and ship some cool features around it.
Yeah, I don't know if it's non-trivial. I think it's imprecise at best is the issue.
Okay, yeah, it's true. You can do like an 80-20 solution and go with like floor price and then unrealized floor gains or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. But to answer the question, yes, we probably will add unrealized gains in some form. We might add unrealized gains in some form at some point.
There's one more address we can look at before we sort of close off the NFT section here. This one is, let's see at the overview. I actually, we have it on our list to change the UI so that the wallet name is like always visible, even if you're on the other tabs. Because now it's a bit confusing if you're on the other tabs and you don't know which wallet you're looking at. This one is called natealex.eth, also called natealex on OpenSea. if you look at the NFTs, the thing that sticks out with this address, first of all, they made tons of money. They're actually at the third place in realized gains, 639 Ether. And they have demonstrated a consistent ability for realized gains with over 6 projects scoring plus 1,000% gains. 1, 2, 3. Actually, I have to sort on this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Boom. And even some that are like above 700. That's pretty impressive. So this one I would probably want to study. Like what they've been able to do this multiple times with many different collections. That's pretty cool.
Can we double click on the art blocks one?
This one, yeah?
Yeah.
There's actually several, but let's click on the top one. I'm not super familiar with art blocks, but I know there's like different NFT collections. So
yeah,
this
so
one is, yeah, maybe you know more about it.
There's 3 sections of art blocks. There's art blocks curated, which those are curated drops that happen quite rarely. I think the 3rd season of curated art blocks is coming up soon-ish. But yeah, so that's the curated. Those are usually the most expensive ones. Some notable ones from there are Chromie Squiggles that I mentioned before. This is like the CryptoPunks of art blocks. There's people who have like a fat squiggle thesis. And I mentioned earlier, Squiggle DAO is like a group that has formed around squiggles. Another notable one from the curated collection is Fidenzas. Fidenzas have been on an absolute tear. Like it's been insane to watch Fidenzas take off. That's a piece of art by, or whatever, like a generative collection by Tyler Hobbs. They're really cool. Like it took me a while to like wrap my head around like why they're quite interesting, but a lot of these generative pieces are interesting when they're very unique. Like each one is very unique. If you have a generative art collection where all of them kind of look the same, or it's hard to like tell, mine compared to yours, there's not a whole lot of uniqueness there, and it's not that exciting. But with Fidenzas, each one is truly like a piece in and of itself, almost like a Jackson Pollock. It has its own personality, style, all this. I would recommend pulling one up if you don't mind.
Yeah, let's look at, so what's a good way to actually get into these? We could look at their transactions.
Yeah.
So
there's a couple.
Yeah.
One, you can also go to artblocks.io.
We did have a link. I mean, you can also look at in NFT government in the overview. You can go to OpenSea, and then you can see like the first item there, art blocks curated. So you'll see a bunch here as well. Newly minted squiggles.
There's a Fidenza right there.
This one, yeah.
Yeah. So if you go to properties and then click all Fidenzas. And then if you can hide the filter in the top left there if you just click.
These look kind of like Kandinsky-like, don't you think? Not that
I'm actually I'm not too familiar with Kandinsky. I'm not going to pretend I'm an expert.
Let's see. We're kind of going off track here a bit, but why not? Kind of, maybe. Anyway, yeah. Right.
So if you like hide the filters by clicking that back arrow in the top left.
This one, yeah.
Yeah. Then scroll to the top again. And then sort by highest last sale. And then just like zoom out so you can get like a nice big view of everything. So these are like the top selling ones. And you can see like each one of these is quite unique in its own way.
Yeah. But are they like, they're generative art, right? They've been computer generated, or?
Yeah, so basically so I think that's actually worth talking about real quick, is why a lot of these art blocks projects are quite interesting. And there's basically code that an artist will write up. I'll call them an artist. It's kind of like a mix of coding and art. So yeah, I'd say they're artists. But basically he's got code that runs, and anytime you mint a new one during the drop, so this collection there's 1,000 of them, and there's a drop that happens on a regular basis. I think there's actually an art blocks drop today. So when you buy it, it generates the art on the spot for you. So you don't know what you're buying.
Oh, interesting.
And you see there that it says 1 of X.
Yeah.
That's notable. That's kind of like a key piece of these generative art collections, is they're 1 of 1, like they're unique, but in a collection of X. That's as opposed to a 1 of X, which is like there is a collection of like 10,000. So like these like NFT collections are not necessarily like, they are unique, but they're not 1 of 1 really. Like there's overlap between them and other ones. And then there's like just a straight 1 of 1 is like a photograph, or like a piece of art that just gets minted once. Like a ferocious piece, for example, would be a 1 of 1 most of the time.
I think that aspect of not knowing what you're buying is like a key feature of NFTs, because it's the same if you mint in collections too. Like unless the API is leaked, you don't actually know what the traits will be when you mint up like 10 apes or 10 hash masks or whatever. So I think like the surprise element there, and almost like a lottery type effect, is something that makes people really engaged in these sales.
Definitely. That's what I was saying earlier. Is the strategy to play this like buying Pokemon cards, like where you don't know what you're getting before you get it.
Yeah.
Like it's a loot box.
That's true. Let me just clean up a bit here. We opened a lot of tabs. So should we conclude the NFT section? Are there any questions in the chat before we move on to some other stuff?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. If anyone has any questions in the chat, we'll give it like 20, 30 seconds. Feel free to ask.
Yeah, we went pretty hard on NFTs.
Yeah.
But it was pretty interesting. I mean, I learned actually a lot from you just now. I think you're much deeper into this NFT stuff, especially on the art side than I
am. Maybe, yeah. The art blocks has been quite interesting, and I've been really excited to participate in that. It feels more like longer lasting almost than some of these collections. And I think the market has recognized that as well, just because there's been such incredible growth in all art blocks collections. The floor price of all curated collections. So there's this one project called Crypto Blots. And like the floor price maybe like 2-3 weeks ago was like 0.1 or something like that for a crypto blot. I think the floor price as of this morning is now like 0.5. So if you view that as like an index of art blocks curated pieces as a whole, you know, art blocks curated has gone up at least 5x. Like the floor price, the absolute floor ones have gone up 5x.
That's pretty wild.
And that's in a time where the market has, pardon my French, shit its pants.
Yeah, that's kind of
I don't know if we get demonetized. Well, we're not monetized, but like, I don't know if we get censored on YouTube. But yeah, it's crazy to see like this one small ray of sunshine in the crypto market going up when everything else goes down.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think you have to worry about getting demonetized. We don't monetize this video, so it's fine. And we're all adults. Like if you can't hear a swearing word, then you definitely can't buy shitcoins either. So we have some notes here from our analysts on like farming type things that are happening. And I think one thing that came up, although we don't seem to have a link to it, probably because let's see if this token is actually even in our whitelist. Yes, it is. Let's have a look. FLX, the ungovernance token for RAI. It aims to remove human control from the RAI system. And looks like there is a Uniswap farm or Uniswap V2 farming opportunity, if I'm reading this correctly. Reflexer, and so I guess there are incentives being given out to people who provide liquidity for FLX versus Ether in the Uniswap V2 pool. So we could actually look at depositors on that, and we can also look at where those tokens, the LP tokens, are being deposited. But seeing a couple of smart money addresses right away in terms of just who's been depositing FLX tokens into the Uniswap V2 pool. Geo.eth, our old friend 0xB1, the on-chain influencer who even has a Twitter account. And then smart LPs, Ananda.eth, Musa.eth.
Hold on here, because we kind of just went into these. What is the let's set some context on what we're looking at here.
Okay, let's roll back up. So where are we now?
So we were looking at NFTs for the first 40 minutes of this.
So now we're switching to the farming section. Thanks for interjecting there. And there are many different ways you can get to sort of surface different farming opportunities. One place you can go is to hot contracts. Another place you can go is to smart money. And a lot of the time you can discover opportunities simply from looking at where the capital is flowing. Now I kind of cheated a bit because one of our guys discovered already that FLX has a liquidity mining program. At least that's how I understand the notes. And so what I did now was I went to Token God mode, which happens to be the most popular dashboard in the Nansen platform. You can plug in any token here, at least any one that we've whitelisted. And, I've plugged in FLX here. And I'm interested in understanding, what are the sort of notable wallets that I should know about here? What's actually going on with this token? And so the first section here shows the top balance changes. So these are the addresses that have had the largest changes in net terms to their balance. And so community distribution seems like a lot of FLX tokens were distributed in the last 7 days. And some tokens were sent to a Merkle distribution contract, but it looks like not all of them. And the third one here is the Uniswap pool. So a lot of FLX tokens went into that pool. And so that made me curious, who are the people that are depositing FLX tokens into that pool? Because those people are likely yield farming. And so if you click on depositors here, which I already did, it shows you the depositor address name. So in this case, Uniswap V2 pool. It shows you which token we're looking at and the total balance that's sitting in that liquidity pool or smart contract. And the net depositors, actually Gnosis is like the top one. Like that's actually Gnosis, the project, which is kind of curious or interesting. So they're providing liquidity for FLX. Geo.eth, smart money address that you can study separately if you want to. A couple of, I would say, we don't know a lot about these addresses. They're CDP creators. Doesn't tell us that much, but it means that they have created MakerDAO CDPs at some point. And then we have 0xB1, which is basically I would call him an on-chain influencer. Or I say him, them, her, they, I don't know. They even own god.eth, which is pretty cool. But this address even has a Twitter account. So let's see if it's active. There we go. They follow Nansen. We're one of 125 people. Feeling blessed.
Ooh.
Yeah, and so this is they actually have this cool thing because they verified here on Etherscan their Twitter account basically with the private key. So that means, you know, they're kind of proving that this trader account actually owns that wallet. And yeah, you can see what kind of stuff they've been doing. This is actually what they've been doing with their FLX tokens. And so if I sort this chronologically, because by default it's sorted by the biggest transactions, chronologically we can see that they first received 2,213 FLX tokens from the Merkle distributor in April. And if I sort it, it looks like May 13 is the last time they did something. That's actually a pretty long time ago. They sent it to an ETH millionaire. But they also have deposited. Yeah, so maybe they're not depositing. Maybe they actually just dumped these tokens, which we can check. No. They did supply. So they are supplying liquidity to the pool, and they're still among the top liquidity providers for FLX. Interesting. The other way you could do this is a little bit more sort of cumbersome, but you could see, let's take this deposit address, right? The Uniswap B2. That in itself is a token. And this token gets deposited somewhere to get liquidity mining rewards. So you could go to Token God Mode Custom, which sadly still has the V1 user interface, but we can plug in that token address there, and it's going to show us what these people are doing with those LP tokens. And I would guess that they're depositing it. They're depositing it into some specific smart contract where they can get rewards. Actually, no, they're not. So then I'm not sure why exactly they're doing this. Maybe they are in some other way getting rewards for liquidity mining. I'm kind of a bit out of my depth here, but
well, they could just be getting like the trading fees on Uniswap. Like the APR could just be high enough to justify it.
That is true. FLX farming, actually, sorry, it says here. So it started in late June. Okay, rewards are distributed on a monthly basis and can be claimed using the Reflexer dashboard. So maybe that's
LP. Okay. I'm looking here too. LPs do not need to stake their tokens anywhere for now. This will change in the future. They simply need to keep the tokens in their wallet.
So that's kind of different from most other distribution schemes. And that's why I went down that route, and it turned out, hey, this actually doesn't show what I would normally see. So just by holding these LP tokens, they can actually claim rewards. And so I guess the community distribution is where they're claiming the rewards, I would imagine. We can look at the recipients from that address. And we can do the same with the Merkle distribution too, because maybe it could be there as well that they're getting them. And then we can see who's claiming these rewards. So some of this stuff is kind of like, we don't have like everything on a silver platter, but if you learn how to use the different dashboards, you can pretty much answer, any question you want when you're exploring the on-chain data without having to like write queries or anything like that. You just can click through, and most of the time you will get the answer you need somehow. I would guess that this is this one is the Merkle distribution one is where they claim the rewards, because I see geo.eth here and disto.eth, and they were both in the pool. So that would be my guess, that these are the top distributors. Not sure why this is showing token millionaire. Maybe I have to refresh it. This is weird because we have the right label here, but then it has a cached version of it here for some reason. But yeah. Cool. Okay, so that's FLX farming. That's the only thing we wanted to cover on farming. I think the other thing that was highlighted was Frax Finance. So maybe we can show like how you would be able to discover this. So if you go to hot contracts, and you can actually play with this parameter up here, because this filters how old the contracts should be. So by default, we only show the ones that are deployed in the last 7 days. but you could do a full year if you want. And actually, you see some cool stuff. You see like the Axie Ronin bridge here. You see Olympus DAO staking, Saddle Finance. And so, of course, this is showing inflows sorted by the hour by default, but now we're including lots of older smart contracts as well. And interesting. There's a Sushi Merkle distributor that received $140 million worth of tokens in the last day. And a bunch of other things, actually. So I have to say, should probably look more at this hot contracts dashboard, playing around with the parameter, because that's pretty interesting. Here's the Frax Finance, though. I think that's probably, that's the USDC V2. And then we can look at the top depositors into the Uniswap V2 pool. So this is similar to what we were doing earlier. This should not be 18, though. That should be 6. Let me fix that real quick. Here we go. Yeah, and so this is showing people effectively providing USDC and then also Frax into this pool. And yeah, the price of Frax has basically doubled since last month. It's an algorithmic stablecoin protocol that follows a secondary token model as outlined in the Nansen research piece. The price of Frax, because by the way, we have a lot of cool research pieces that are being created these days. You can go to nansen.ai/research and check some of them out. This recent one by Young is very good. It's about decentralized stablecoins. And this is where he talks about, for example, the Frax model, and he compares it to other models as well. So definitely worth checking that article out if you're interested in decentralized stablecoins. But yeah, and then you can look at the data as well inside of Nansen, where you can see who's providing liquidity. You can see who's effectively aping in with funds here. And there's also this link, which is to the actual Frax Finance platform, which shows that you can, it shows the different pools here, which you can check out. None of this is investment advice, but you might want to have a look at this stuff as well.
Could you go back to, was it top depositors?
This one, yeah.
Wow, that's quite interesting. So that Vincent Van Doe near the bottom on OpenSea, that guy's been buying up massive amounts of, I think it was, I can't remember if it was crypto blots or cat blocks or something like that. Or sorry, yeah, crypto blots or cat blocks. But they've been raising the floor massively on one of these art blocks projects. It's been they've been going to town.
That's cool. Let's see what else they've been doing with their USDC. It's funny, like it also, I don't know if it's scary or if it's cool, but you can actually like recognize people like, oh, they did this NFT stuff, and now we're looking at something totally different. It gives you a feeling that the space is like kind of small, which is, interesting, good and bad. But it also kind of illustrates the point that we have kind of based our product on, which is that, let's say there are, something like 200 million addresses on Ethereum. You don't care about 199.99 million. You just care about a few thousand addresses. And we try to surface those addresses so that you can actually make, better investment decisions by learning from what the smartest money is doing.
There's a question in the chat here, which is, can you confirm that Chainlink Team Wallet has restarted their selling from the dashboards? And I'll preface by saying we won't confirm anything, but we'll show what the on-chain says, and people can draw their own conclusions.
Yeah, let's have a look. Okay, so pretty stable with regards to how much tokens are sitting on exchanges. This line down here, around 17 to 19%. Bit of an uptick maybe. So Let's check out notable wallets. What's going on there? Okay, so Nexo. Yeah, old Nexo that were rumored to be involved with the what is it, Zeus Capital. Of course, I don't think there was any conclusion on that, but that was a rumor. There's some ETH millionaire addresses that have been receiving a lot of link at the top. We can look at those more closely afterwards. But the question was about selling, so maybe let's look at 1 million. Okay, I mean, let's look at two things.
There's a second Chainlink team wallet lower down too.
Oh yeah, this one, 500. Okay, let's look at what they're doing with it. So you can just click through and you get the wallet profiler for token. If you wanted to have a different, like more aggregated view, you can click at recipients to see who's been receiving tokens from these addresses. But let's start with this. So Chainlink team, they have 35 mil in that specific address. Where did the tokens go? Well, it's been going down from like March, slowly down, and then sold down a bit more. It was, I mean, it seems to be moved into a Gnosis safe proxy. You see here it says incoming address is 1, outgoing address is 1. That means they only received these tokens from one specific address and they're sending them to one. They're sending it to some multisig. Like what this multisig is, I don't know. So I can't make any claims on like if they're selling or whatnot, but they're moving these tokens into a multisig. So like who owns that multisig? I don't know. You could do some investigations here and drill deeper. So to answer your question, like with the evidence I see here, like certainly the tokens are being moved. That's you know, objective reality. But if they're selling them, it's a little bit hard to say. Oh, that's a funky chart on the token balance for this multisig. Let's see. Seems like this one has been receiving tokens from lots of different Chainlink team and Chainlink operations wallets in 500,000 chunks. I mean, could this just be a multisig that the team controls? I mean, doesn't seem too unlikely. We could look at, there's a lot of transactions here though, like 2,000, more than 2,000 transactions.
Can we check the recent ones? Like
yeah,
by,
we can do
what's happening.
So sorry. These are the recent ones, and they seem to be batching them out. I mean, could they just be funding like the oracles or something? I'm not sure exactly how this stuff works, but they're sending out to like 1,770 different addresses. Some of it's going to Coinbase.
Can we click through on one of those addresses and see if it's if those addresses are insta dumping?
Yeah. So let's look at. But I would not. Yeah. Let's look at this one. This is like very recent, right? So let's look at what they're doing. Interesting that they're like unlabeled.
Well, yeah, maybe they're like brand new wallets that are insta dumping. Now I've got my tinfoil hat on. I'm bought into this conspiracy.
0 outgoing. I mean, they could be like Coinbase deposit wallets, right? But this is like, would be a pretty good way. I mean, yeah, we're not making any claims here, but like would be a pretty decent way to sort of like make it less obvious that you're selling by just spinning up tons of new Coinbase deposit wallets and like sending tokens to those. But it's a multi-sig, so it seems kind of awkward to be doing that. I guess this is a multi-sig that's programmatically controlled because it's doing a lot of transactions. Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to answer. Like, yes.
Can you click through on one of these older ones, like the ones that have had it for a little while?
Yeah, but don't you think it's interesting to look at the biggest outgoing ones? Like, okay, this goes to a feed and no feed.
But this is back in April, so I think if this story is popping up now, we care more about what's going on right now.
But I think the point is that this has been receiving tokens like since April as well from different Chainlink teams. So it's not like a new thing that this address is receiving link tokens. That's been going on since March at least. Let's see, the first one, January. Okay, since this year. First thing was 420,000 link from the operations wallet. And then, it's been going elsewhere. So yeah, okay, let's look at.
I mean, we do see a Coinbase, the one there. So.
Wow, yeah, that's, And it is a 25,000 one. Actually, it's easier to look at the older wallets because there's a higher chance they will have been consolidated back to Coinbase if they are actually Coinbase deposit. Because Coinbase is a bit hard to track, and so we don't have full coverage on those wallet labels yet. This feels like we won't be able to answer it in like 2 minutes, but hopefully you can see that you can definitely use Nansen to do these investigations, to click through on stuff, and then you can probably come up with some conclusions on your own.
Finance deposit.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I don't want to say anything because it's like it could be totally off, right? But worth looking into, I think.
All right. Well, I think that's we'll leave the rest as an exercise for the viewer, and that's probably a decent place to wrap up. There was a quick question, which is, any plans to add the series names of art blocks on Nansen? Yes, we will get better labeling on the art blocks projects there.
Yeah, so what happened with the NFT labeling is one of our guys went on holidays, and like he's the one who had created the NFT labels, and so we had to figure out how to do that, and now we know how to do it. So we're gonna improve. We're gonna improve that.
I didn't even know that. All right. Yes. Improved labels coming soon. All right. Anything to add, Alex, before we wrap up here?
No, hopefully it was fun to explore the crazy world of NFTs, and hopefully you learned something. Tune in for the next office hours in a week from now.
Yes.
And smash the like button.
Oh, that's right. Smash like, smash subscribe.
Right.
Tell your friends, tell your mothers, tell your uncles, tell your aunts. Subscribe to Nansen, and we'll catch you on the next one, ladies and gentlemen.